Alright, that was an ordeal. Oh God. Stop. Ugh. Boy. Well, that's awkward. I feel like I should know how to do this by now. And yet, here we actually are. Oh God, stop. Why? Why am I so bad? I've failed the stream already, and I haven't even gotten to the part where I do the game. Incredible. I've managed to speedrun failure. Is there a category for that? Fail percent? Yes. I certainly didn't think they'd end up merging all three of the task forces into one. Yasuji Ban sighed bitterly to himself as he looked at the rows of detectives assembled in the Shibuya police station's large conference room. The Inokashira Line Shibuya Station bathroom murder, what the police had taken to calling vampire had pushed the Shibuya police's available manpower to its absolute limits. And with three bizarre murders in the same district, it was looking more and more likely that a single culprit was responsible for all of them. Some officers had suggested leaving the Cornelius Tower suicides to the Youth Crimes Division, but the media was treating them as part of New Gen, and they'd take it as and they'd take a lot of flack if it seemed like they were leaving it out. It was only natural that HQ would decide to bring the task forces together into one big team. Right now, the new, bigger group was going back over each of the cases individually. There was a big screen at the front of the room showing slides of the crime scenes. Suwa had been assigned to give the briefing on them. He and Ban had been up all night frantically going through all the case files for all 4 cases. Good luck, kid, Ban said to himself, resting his head on his palm.
コーネリアスタワー集団投身自殺事件の発生は9月7日っす。です。ニュージェネとマスコミが故障している4つの事件の中では一番最初に発生してます。
Just imagine you're walking to work and that happens.
午後11時半頃、渋谷
Do you just keep going to work?
のヘリポートから男女5人が転落、全員死亡しました。5人は全員未成年の高校生、男が3人、女が2人。ただし5人のうち男女1人ずつだけが同じ学校なだけで、それ以外の3人はいずれも別の学校でした。5人それぞれの爪の間にわずかな肉片が残っており、手のひらに引っかき傷があったことが司法解剖で判明しました。そこから5人は互いに手をつないだ状態で転落したと推測されます。屋上には遺書らしきものはなし。被害者5人は学校帰りに待ち合わせてコーネリアスタワーへ向かったようです。
I feel like I screwed something else up. I feel like I forgot to click something. I forgot to mark a setting. I don't know. I'm gonna learn what I did wrong probably 2 days from now. I'm gonna feel dumb. But I can't shake the feeling that I messed something up. Mm.
なお、事件性があることを示す根拠としては、コーネリアスタワー屋上が関係者以外立ち入り禁止であったことが挙げられます。事件があった時間、屋上への扉は施錠されており、その扉のドアノブに被害者5人の指紋は付着してませんでした。また5人の遺品からも扉の鍵は見つかっていません。このことから被害者以外の第三者が 事件前後にその現場にいた可能性があります。その第三者が扉の鍵を持っており、事件前あるいは事件後に鍵を閉めて立ち去ったという線で捜査を続けてます。コーネリアスタワーのホテル従業員全員への聞き取り調査は終了。ほぼ全員にアリバイがありました。今はタワーに入っている企業の社員に話を聞いているところです。被害者たち5人には今のところ自殺する理由は見つかっていません。家族、友人、学校の教師など5人中4人の関係者が口を揃えて自殺する理由などないと断言してます。
Oh no, not this one. Ah, I hate this one. Oh no. No. Why are they? I feel like this is the first time we've seen a picture of it. Ah. Stop. The slide changed. Moving to the second case, the murder of the college kid and unborn baby under the Shibuya station tracks. I don't know why this one gets the most visceral reaction from me. God, I hate it so much. As for this case, which they are calling the pregnant... Oh, he already said that. He's talking. He's talking. I should shut up. I should shut up. He's talking. God, I don't want to look at it, but I have to read the words.
第一発見者は現場近くのカラオケ店店員。遺体発見は午前5時前後。被害者は渋谷区在住の大学3年生、近衛千鶴21歳。発見された時にはすでに死亡してました。死亡推定時刻は遺体発見の約4時間前、19日の午前1時頃です。遺体は腹部が不自然に大きく膨れ上がっており、中から胎児が発見されました。
I certainly hope he was already dead when all this happened. No, just kidding. Yeah, I think they did say that he was alive when that happened. Of course. No, I hate it. It's like he heard me and was like, no, he was alive. Oh, good. At least the baby was dead.
縫合した部分をかきむしったり、縫合糸を一部引きちぎった形跡が見られました。胎児は妊娠8ヶ月ぐらいの状態で、母親の体から帝王切開で取り上げられたと考えられます。
So vile.
胎児の母親については今のところ見つかってません。その生死についても不明です。DNA 鑑定の結果、胎児と被害者には血縁関係はありませんでした。
It's crazy. I normally have a pretty strong stomach for this sort of thing, but oh my god.
ちなみに胎児の血液型は B 型、被害者の血液型は A 型です。
Sua paused to take a breath. Talking so much had tired him out, it looked like. And giving a presentation in front of this many older detectives was probably nerve-wracking too.
次に第3の事件。
Oh my god, yes, please move on. Get this away. Away. There was a slight pause before Crucified's slide came up. I just really want to make you look at that. Look at it.
事件発生は9月29日。被害者は太田久志、56歳、都東大学教授。
Is this a recreation or?
第一発見者は現場のすぐ近くのアパ
Were
ー
there
トに
pictures
住む
taken
男性。
before he got all bloody? Did I miss something?
被害者の死因は絞殺でした。殺害された後で10本程度の釘を使って貼り付けにされていました。見ての
I
通
feel like
り、
it was more than that. Am I crazy? Am I remembering it wrong? Dude's head was caved in, was it not?
釘についても貼り付けは一部肉体を貫通しているものもありましたが、基本的には衣服を通して貼り付けられている状態です。マスコミでは貼り付け、血の惨劇などと謳われてますが、出血は全くなし。
What? Is this like Am I going crazy? Am I insane? Is this supposed to make me feel like I'm crazy? Is this game gaslighting me right now? Is that what's happening? Am I being gaslit? Gaslighted? Eh.
釘はドイツの黒いツナーゲル社が販売している特徴的な長い十字架のような杭です。
Dude's head was like mush. I'm
犯人が十字架型をあえて選んだということから宗教的な側面からも捜査を進めてます。事件の起きた21時から21時半の間に現場周辺で壁に杭を打ちつける音が数十分続いていたという証言が複数得られました。
I mean, is this a situation like where that's what Takumi saw, and so that's what I saw, but this is the reality of the situation? Like, was he seeing things? It's not unheard of, I suppose. I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like that's the point.
推定時刻がほぼそれと同じ時間であることから、おそらく被害者は現場かそのすぐ近くで殺害されたと思われます。また信憑性は怪しいですが、事件現場で私立水明学園の女生徒を見たという証言も上がってます。
We also have an unreliable report that she is a demon and can manipulate the minds of others at will. We're investigating this. Oh, this one's pretty upsetting too, I'm gonna be honest. Less upsetting than Pregnant Man, but I don't like the fact they turned green. That's weird.
事件発生は10月10日。遺体発見は午前5時半頃、駅員が発見しました。被害者の身元は今のところ不明。身元を示すような遺留品は一切ありませんでした。死亡推定時刻は前日の午前10時から午後6時の間。遺体の血液は全て抜かれており、まるでミイラのような状態で放置されていました。ご存知の通り、この写真が何者かによって撮影され、遺体発見より15分ほど前にインターネットのオークションに出品されており、
Bond grimaced a little as he listened to the explanation. Was this the killer's way of saying that death had become a fashion or something? Had become fashion. Oh, wow. Chapter 4. All right, good stream. I guess I'll head out now. Like 10 minutes. Sign City was a pair of buildings located just south of Shibuya's Scramble Crossing. The east building was located next to Shibuya Station. There was a small plaza just inside the entrance which was often used as a meeting spot, even if it wasn't as famous as the Hachiko or Moyai statues. A dozen or so people were in there now, waiting and playing with their phones. Ah. One of them was standing alone with a curiously stern expression on her face. I believe Girl 1 was what we called. Oh no, she has a name now. She was a teenage girl named Sena Aoi. Aoi. It's blue. I know that means blue. I don't know how to say it though. Aoi. Owie. If you went down the escalator on the second floor of Sign City, the one that led away from the Inokashira line station, you would see her there, leaning against a white pillar, watching her surroundings carefully. Eating a popsicle. Oh. Despite her stern expression and the season, she was nibbling on a popsicle. It was kind of cute, in a way. Of course, she wasn't waiting for anyone. She was quietly observing the people coming and going around her. From where she was standing, you could see all the way to the big TVs at Scramble Crossing. They were showing a promo for some famous singer. At the bottom of the screen was a scrolling line of text talking about the New-Gen murders. Not a day went by when she didn't see something about New-Gen. The TV, papers, the net, the magazines, even the big TVs in the city. Sena wasn't interested in them at all, but walking through Shibuya, she would often hear people talking about the murders. Whose eyes are those? Lately, she'd been seeing people wearing t-shirts with that question printed across their fronts. Again, the trauma in this poor kid, not this kid, the other kid. It had gotten its start as an underground meme in Shibuya, and now it was getting out of control. Somebody at a Harajuku gift shop had started selling t-shirts, and they'd sold pretty well. At least that's what she'd heard a smiling man say as he passed her by on the street. It was a good sign that I skipped the text, is what that sign is. Good sign of how little people cared about anything but themselves. Senna gave a little snort of contempt before she ate the last bite of her popsicle. She closed her eyes, the stern expression still on her face. I love that her portrait has the popsicle stick. I love that. I don't know why, it's funny to me. She listened to the noise of the city. On Sundays, the area around the station was filled with many different sounds. See, because that tells me, the reason that's funny to me, the popsicle stick, that tells me that either that's just a really weird, very specific detail they decided for that particular portrait, or her eating popsicles is such an integral part of her character that it comes up enough that they decided to have her have a portrait specifically with a popsicle stick in her hand. I hope it's the second one. Trains went rattling into the station, taxi horns, people talking as they walked. Music from the big TVs and inside the shops at Science City. Announcements endlessly telling you how to safely ride an escalator. The sounds never stopped. As soon as one ended, another took its place. All of the different sounds layered together into a dissonant jumble of static. Senna focused on the noise, directing her attention to the people's voices. Her brain shut out any other sound, so she could hear the words clearly. I'm not supposed to be able to read these. Wow, this is social anxiety simulator right now. Oh my god, stop. Stop. Do I have to press something? No, it's just going. Oh, I did have to press something. Okay, so would that have gone up forever? Oh my god, that actually triggered me a little bit. That was really bad. That was social anxiety simulator. Senna let out a little grunt. She stopped listening almost immediately. And unfortunately I didn't, because I didn't know I had to press something. I listened way too long. The noise offered her nothing useful. In the end, the noise was just noise. Senna looked around one more time. For a while now, she'd had this awful feeling, like a cold finger running down her spine. Someone's gaze was upon her, but she couldn't find out who it was. Senna stepped away from the pillar she'd been leaning up against. And then, as if she just remembered she was holding it, she stared down at the popsicle stick in her hand. She looked even more upset as she walked quickly towards the station. Okay, yeah, it seems like she's gonna be eating a lot of popsicles. Because that's what I wished for. But who are you, though? I did. This is your mental world, but it's mine too. What the flying fuck is happening? Anywhere, if you wish for it. Saratan was calling me. Yesterday's Blood Tune was such a great episode. Saratan had a lot of cool scenes, and there was also a sexy kiss. The animation quality was top-notch, too. Saratan was calling me. And being super moe about it, too. I had no choice but to get up. I ripped off the covers and got off the sofa with a moan. When I hit the switch on the alarm, oh, it's his alarm. I genuinely was not sure what that was. I thought maybe like a ringtone, but like he didn't use his phone, so what the hell is this? The alarm. When I hit the switch on the alarm, Saratan's voice abruptly stopped. Ohayo, Sarah. My Sarah voice alarm was a treasure of mine. If you didn't flip the switch, the volume would get gradually louder and louder before switching to an intense buzzer sound. Ah! Sneeze! Let me sneeze! Why, God? Oh, of course. Okay, it's gone. I wanted to start my morning waking up with Saratan, which meant I always tried to flip the switch before the buzzer sounded. I had only ever failed twice. Waking up with Saratan always put me in a great mood. Well, no. Actually, playing games all night and sleeping on the hard sofa made me feel like crap. But having Saratan wake me up did make it a little bit of the pain go away. Today was a school day. I'd missed a full day last week, and it was starting to throw off my schedule. I was supposed to only go twice this week, but thanks to that, I'd have to go 3 times. I didn't want to go out, but I had to. Any more skipping, and I couldn't graduate. To be honest, even if I couldn't graduate, it wouldn't make that big of a difference for me. I'd had a dream about Rimi. It was a strange dream. Somehow nostalgic, somehow lonely, somehow sad, and somehow incredibly distant. I wondered if she was coming to school today. I'd spent a lot of time thinking about what happened 2 days ago. I'd spent so much time thinking about it that it cut into my ESO time. I didn't think much about Shogun, or the delusion of the empty Shibuya. They didn't seem all that important to me. I see this young man has different priorities than mine. I would be very focused on the world emptying for a little bit. That was weird. All of it was most likely just a delusion of mine. It was hard to believe that Shogun could be an old man like that, and thinking back, the idea that every single person disappearing from Shibuya just seems silly. Okay, so she said something in that weird sequence before this, something about a mental world. Was that his mental world? Is her mental world like this like weird blue ocean sky thing, and his is just an empty Shibuya? I don't even know what that means. What is a mental world? Ugh. I had so many questions. I feel like it was a very realistic delusion, but I found myself embarrassed by how easily I'd believed something so impossible could happen. What was more important was Rimi, the girl I'd called the demon girl until just a little bit ago. In that place, where it felt like a strange floating dream, she'd held me tight, and I could still remember the feeling of her body. If she hadn't done that, I might have gone crazy. Why had Rimi saved me? Was it because we were friends? I didn't have any memories at all of us being classmates since our first year, or of going to see a movie with her and Misumi. But the way she treated me was the way you'd treat a good friend. When she'd held me tight, she looked like she was about to cry. That, at least, didn't seem like an act she was putting on. I'd never met a girl who'd cry over a creepy otaku like me. After seeing it, the fear and suspicion I'd felt had just blown away. In fact, I almost felt like I could fall in love with her, though I stopped myself from going that far. 2D forever, please. What I felt most was uncertainty. How should I face Rimi from here on out? Was she my friend or my enemy? Was she responsible for the New Gen murders? It was an undeniable fact that she'd saved me. But it was also true that I'd seen her covered in blood at the site of the crucified murder. Yeah, the one where there was no blood, apparently. I stopped at Shoto Park on my way to school. Ever since the incident with Yua, I'd quit my habit of eating breakfast here. The idea that Yua could be out there somewhere watching me made it impossible to enjoy my meal. I mean, that's fair, but also she's at your school at all times, so I feel like that would make things a little awkward too. And even worse, if she came to talk to me, I'd have to listen to a bunch of more delusional nonsense. I skipped the text again, but I read it in time. I didn't have time to deal with her. Yua works for Remy. Remy. That was my original idea, but it may have been wrong. That didn't mean Yua wasn't an enemy, though. Maybe Shogun was the big boss, and Yua was working for him. Whatever the case, it'd be best if I stayed away from her. I'm gonna be honest, I ever since the revelation of, kind of revelation of Yua being not quite what she seemed, I want to see more of her. I was so like, I don't trust you. And then she's like, you shouldn't trust me. And I was like, cool, let's see more of you. And then she disappeared. Now she's gone. I assume she comes back. Of course she's coming back. But I want to see more. But today, I'd come here for some reason anyway. I looked around carefully to make sure Yua was nowhere to be seen. Then I slowly sat down on my bench. I took a bite out of the chocolate pastry I'd bought at the convenience store and looked out at the lake. There was barely any wind, and the water's surface was still and calm. Once in a while, I could see what might be a carp moving through the cloudy water. There was nobody in the park today, which was rare. It was a very quiet space. As I looked around the park, I found myself thinking about Remy again. To be honest, I'd almost decided not to go to school today just to avoid facing her again. That's why I'd come here to the park to buy some time. It felt like I'd said all kinds of awful things to her. But she'd always smiled and been kind to me. And I was sure if I went to school again, she'd come up and talk to me like she always had. She'd pretend that what we'd experienced in front of the 107 had never happened. She'd smile and treat me like a friend. Part of her constantly cheerful nature did seem a little obnoxious, but it also felt like if I stayed with her, I might start to feel cheerful too. What should I say when I meet her? I didn't think of her as a demon anymore. But it was also true that I didn't think of her as a friend. Misumi had said that she and I had been friends and classmates for over a year and a half, but I had no memories of that at all. Maybe something had broken within me after all. But could my memories of Remy disappear while everything else remained intact? Was that possible? That does seem odd. It seems very odd. I went into the school building and head pointed toward the ground as always. I did my usual thing of walking slowly on the side of the hallway while I headed for the stairs. My class was on the 3rd floor. It was kind of a pain to get there. I wish there was an escalator, actually. As I got up the stairs, I saw a girl slowly staggering up them. Is that the transferred student? That, like, I thought was telepathically speaking, and turns out she was just whispering? Or is that a different one? I think it might be a different person. She was dragging her right leg. Did she sprain it or something? Her tiny body was kind of wobbling as she walked. She looked like she might fall over at any minute. The other students were quickly passing by her while she went slowly up each step. Man, kids suck. From below, I could almost see her panties. I reiterate, kids suck. Crap. If I didn't do something, I'd look like a pervert. Too late for that. I didn't want anybody calling me a creep. I tried to quickly walk past her when... The girl tripped on the stairs and staggered forward. Oh, snap. She is injured. And then she fell hard right on her face. Fortunately, she was standing on the landing when she'd fallen, so she didn't end up rolling down the stairs, but she was just lying there on her knees, not moving. Was this the beginning of something romantic? Really, dude? Maybe this is the beginning of something help her up. Not a chance. Even if it was, I didn't have the courage to talk to her. Wow. Okay. I mean, I get it. I do. I'm not judging. I mean, I'm judging a little bit, but not. It's. I just feel bad for her. Like, come on, somebody help her up. I quickly slipped past her. Sorry, but get help from Misumi or somebody else who likes 3D girls. Why does it have to be like that? Why can't people just help people? God damn it. Don't expect anything from me. The girl still wasn't moving, and I started to get a little worried. When I got halfway up the second set of stairs, I turned around to check on her. She was clinging to the railing and trying her hardest to stand up. Her knees were shaking like she was a newborn deer. There was blood on her knee. Maybe she'd scraped it. I'd seen her. Okay, she is the one. I'd seen her face somewhere before. Was she the one who transferred into my class last week? Yeah, apparently. What was her name again? I couldn't remember. I also can't remember. And she was crying too. Just help her up the stairs. I mean, I get it. Socially awkward. I understand. I empathize. I really do. But somebody help this person up the stairs. Did it hurt that badly? Sure, it was a bad fall, but it shouldn't have been enough to make her cry. Nobody else was trying to help her. People suck. She finally managed to just barely stand up, and then began to look down at her knee. She seemed to be checking how badly it was hurt. She wiped away her tears, then put down her bag and started to rummage through it. What was she trying to find, I wondered. And then she pulled out a giant sword. Shing! Oh. She suddenly pulled something out of her bag and held it above her head like she won a great victory. In her fingers, she held a bandage. Oh my god, that's adorable. Our eyes met. She quickly flushed with embarrassment and looked down. Well, she seemed okay. She didn't need my help, at least, right? I decided to just head to my classroom and leave her there. I kept my head down and my gaze glued to my feet, as always. I arrived at my seat wordlessly. Actually, hadn't that girl said something to me on the day she transferred here? She said, like, thank goodness it's you, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she said. I'd forgotten all about it with what had happened with Rimi, but what had she meant?
Yo, Taku.
As always, Misumi said hello to me. Maybe he didn't have any friends besides me. That would explain why he only ever seemed to talk to me, at least.
聞いてくれよ。昨日さ、怪しいおっさん2人が校長室に入ってくのを見たんだ。で、
Oh, the cops.
こっそり盗み聞きしてみたらびっくりしたぜ。その2人、刑事だったんだぜ。
Detectives?
なんか深刻そうに全校生徒の名簿とか見ててよ。もしかしてニュージェネと関係あんのかな？
Maybe the new gen killer goes to our school? For some reason, I found myself thinking of Rimi's face. Yeah, I mean, you literally did say that you saw someone there and you gave a description, a vague description, but a description of Rimi. So, of course they're here. Yeah, I don't know if they're looking for, I don't know if they're gonna be looking to talk to Takumi or if they're looking for her. They very well could be. Why is that? That's weird. Why is that like, it's like this weird sepia tone filter thing on my, my screen on here for some reason. Why is it doing that? Why is it doing that for? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, I guess. That's weird. Yeah. My body froze. Speak of the devil. Demon? No. I heard Rimi's voice and my heart rate jumped. I couldn't look up. I was too nervous. It was a totally different type of nervousness than what I'd felt last week, though.
あれはお前がドア勝手に開けたせいだぞ。分かってんのか？
She looks giant. See, just the way they're posed, and she's like, she looks enormous compared to him.
何をどうやったらついドアを開けるんだよ。おかげで俺らまで刑事から話を聞かれる羽目になったんだからな。
Honestly, it's probably just the hair. Her hair is very big. She has big hair. The two of them were talking, one on each side of my desk. They were both totally ignoring me. But to be honest, I preferred it that way. If Rimi talked to me, I wasn't sure I could answer back. I was hoping that the bell would ring, but when I looked over at the clock, I saw that there were 5 more minutes until the first bell. Kozue. That's right. Kozue? Who's that?
ああ、そっか。どうせお前のことだから覚えてねえとは思ったけど、マジでそうだったんだな。
I also didn't remember. Don't judge me, Misumi.
先週転校してきたこのことだよ。折原梢ちゃん。
Yeah, I remember now. Oh, so her name is Kozue Orihara.
階段で
階段？
見た。
お、そっか。じゃあもうすぐ来るな。
Misume's voice was filled with eager anticipation. I hadn't seen him this alive since he found out that Fess was a girl in the next class over a few days ago. Yeah, where's she? Where's Fess? I want to bring her back. I want to see her again. She's so cool. I'd never seen him excited about anything that didn't involve girls, actually. Come to think of it, hadn't he tried to hit on the transfer student on her first day, too? It was kind of impressive, actually, especially since he already had a girlfriend. They keep saying that. I'm press X to doubt. X brings up the backlog, but it also doubts.
な、梢ちゃんってマジ可愛いと思わねえ?
I wasn't sure how to answer that. I gave him a vague nod. He seemed to take it as a yes. I mean, that's what nodding means generally, yeah.
太郎、俺一目で気に入っちまったよ。なんか守ってやりたくなるんだよな。男子みんなも同じ意見だよ。どいつも可愛いって言ってんだ。けどよ、女子の間じゃあんま評判良くねえんだよな。まだ転校してきたばっかだぜ。それなのに早くもうざいみたいな意見まで出てきてんだ。このクラスの女子って性格悪いやつ多すぎだ。
それって大臣のせいじゃないの？だいたいそのうざいって言ったのどうせ大臣の彼女でしょ？
ああ、そうだけど。
そりゃあ彼女にしてみればうざいに決まってるよ。自分の彼氏が目の前で折原さんを口説きに行っちゃってたらさ。私でさえよく喧嘩売られるんだから、大輔君に近寄らないでって。しかも一人じゃなくて何人かから言われた。
Spitting facts.
マジ？
自覚なしか。少しは反省したら？
What a blockhead.
いやー、モテる男は辛いぜ。
これだよ。さすが女の敵。私フォローしてあげないからね。あ、折原さん来た。
なんか怪我してるみたいじゃね？
本当だ。どうしたんだろう。
It was from when she tripped on the staircase. Of course, I didn't tell them that. For now, I wanted to minimize the amount of time I spent talking to Rimi.
俺、ちょっと行ってくれ。
Misumi ran off toward this transfer student. Rimi was now the only one standing next to me. Best case scenario. Please, Misumi, don't leave me. Oh boy, I'm gonna try not to press the wrong button this time. Green or red. I'm gonna go with the green. Remy didn't say a thing, but she didn't make any move to leave either. I kept staring down at my desk, so I couldn't see the look on her face. I could only see her waist, but I could tell that she was facing me. She was looking at me. You know what? I changed my mind. Red. Right away. Last moment. Switch. Last minute audible. Alright, is it wavy? It's gotta keep an eye on this. It is waving. It's woo. I had to say something. I had to say something. Anything. But I didn't know what to say. The more I tried to think, the more my mind began to go blank. Suddenly, Remy wiped her nose. Out of sheer reflex, I looked up in surprise. Oh dear. She was crying. I didn't know why, but she was sobbing. I felt even more confused, so I just sat there silently like an idiot. I couldn't think of anything else. Remy spoke in a teary voice. Lady, I don't know you. And then she turned around and walked out of the classroom. I wanted to scream, "That's not true!" I wanted to tell her. I just didn't know how to talk to her, that was all. I thought about going after her, but in the end, I couldn't get up from my seat. Even if I did, what should I say to her? What could I say? Do I say, "I love you"? Do I say, "We're friends"? Impossible. I didn't know anything about Remy. Sure, she'd saved me the other day. But she was still this mysterious person who'd just come into my life out of nowhere. And also apparently had also been there the whole time for some reason. Somehow. I didn't know if I liked her or not. I didn't have any memories of her I could use to decide. Misumi came back from talking to the transfer student. He looked at me with pity in his eyes.
あいつ前に俺に相談してきてたんだぜ。タクのことが好きなんだけど全然気づいてもらえないって。
The heck? When did that happen? I shook my head violently.
だってわからないんだ。さっぱりわからないんだよ。
わかるかわからないか、そんな理屈の話じゃねえだろ。ま。
Getting philosophical with Misumi. I never spoke to Remy again after that, all the way up to graduation. Even when we'd see each other in class, we avoided each other. And then after graduation, just like Misumi said, I became a NEET forever, and never saw Remy again. Bad end. Just kidding. Maybe I'd end up with a bad ending like that. That'd be pretty sad. But it was just the simple truth that I didn't know anything about Remy. I had no choice but to sit there in silence. Since I wasn't saying a single word, Remy seemed a little scared when she talked to me. But I couldn't even react. From her perspective, it must look like I was ignoring her. In my mind, I knew this wasn't right, but I still couldn't bring myself to do anything. This time I nodded desperately. I probably looked really weird. I'm honestly like weirded out by how much this guy's like social interactions end up very similar to my own anxiety attacks. Like he's describing like these things are happening and I want to say this and I want to say that. But I couldn't bring myself to say and I'm just like, I've lived that. This is real. Why? What is happening? Why are you describing? Why?
So.
It's uncanny, is what I'm saying. Her tone was gentle. Somehow, unbelievably, I'd managed to avoid the bad ending. She wants to know if I'm okay, huh? Suddenly, I wanted to ask her, when she'd seen me in front of the 107, how had the world looked to her? From the fact that she hadn't brought them up, she might not know anything about the people disappearing from Shibuya, or Shogun in his wheelchair. Did that mean they really were a part of my delusion? I wanted to ask Rimi that, but I didn't feel like I could raise my head and ask any more questions. Not today, anyway. I wasn't ready. I'd ask next time. Next time I came to school. Yeah, that was it. I'd take some time to think about everything. I needed to ask. This dude needs to, like, write down what he wants to, like, he should, like, have a little notepad and be like, all right, during my next interaction, make, like, a checklist of things that, like, if I can say this and this and this. The transfer student? Why would she be coming over here? Is she going to get mad at me for not helping her on the stairs? No, I'm pretty sure she sits behind you, silly. She didn't look like that type of girl. Maybe she wanted to talk to Rimi, not me? The transfer student stopped right next to Rimi. She wasn't saying anything. What was going on? With Rimi here, I couldn't look up. The transfer student's feet seemed to be nervously fidgeting, but she didn't say anything. Yeah, they're clearly talking telepathically. I know it's just a misunderstanding on my part from the last thing, but I now have the headcanon that this girl has telepathic powers. She can, like, beam thoughts into your head. For some reason, she put a single bandage down on the edge of my desk. It was a fancy one, and had a weird character, Garo Froggy, on it. Huh? Was she giving me this? I wasn't sure how to react to that. This transfer student, Kozue Orihara, was a bit of an odd one. I'm lost. She was crying? Was she crying? Why was she crying? Because I didn't say anything? But she didn't say anything either, right? Rimi backed me up. It felt strange. I didn't know anything about Rimi, but she knew all about me. The transfer student bowed and ran back to her own seat. She just shut up and gave him the bandage? Okay. Why had she given it to me? Did you also get a bandage, Misumi? I could sense Misumi coming back.
De, まあ1時間ぐらいかけてあちこち回ったんだけど、もう俺一人で延々と喋り続けたよ。あの時はさすがに
I'm sorry, it's been an hour?
しかもすぐ泣きべそかく。
Apparently it's been an hour.
そうそう。今も急に泣き出したから何が起きたかと思ってあたふたしちゃった。
Talking about a different time? Am I I'm missing something?
そんだけピュアなんだよ。なたく、お前ならわかるだろう。
I think I misunderstood.
ちゃんの仕草、一つ一つの可愛さってのがよ。お前流に言うなら、萌えってやつだ。なんだ、クソでも我慢してんのか？
I shook my head as hard as I could.
たく、さっきからちっとも喋ってくれないんだ。
That's because you're here, Remy. I'm not ready to talk to you. I'd never really talked to a female friend before. I'd never even had a female friend.
でもさ、今折原さんと話してみてなんとなく思ったんだけど、彼女と話してるとなんだか疲れちゃいそうかもなんて。
女子ってのはマジで同性に対して容赦ねえな。ま、梢ちゃんは俺が守るからいいけどな。
ほんの数十秒前に大地も相手するの疲れたって言ってなかった？
うっせ。梢ちゃんはタクと同じ匂いがするぜ。ほっとけねって感じ？
Why is he smelling people?
それはわかるかも。
The sound of the bell told me that all my classes for the day were finished. As soon as I heard it, I packed up all my stuff and headed out the door. I wanted to get the heck out of there as soon as possible, partially because of the awkward distance between me and Remy. But also, I had something to pick up at Mangadarake today. In the end, I was never able to say a word to Remy. I had several chances to talk to her, but I kept silent the whole day, just like I'd done in the morning. Maybe that was mean. Maybe I'd just make it even harder to talk to her next time. It felt like maybe I was only making things worse. Possibly. Oh boy. I heard an annoying girl calling out to me as I left the school building. Nanami ran up to me with a trash can in her arms. She seemed to be in the middle of taking out the garbage. Why'd she have to bother me then? I tried to ignore her and leave, but as always, she refused to let me go. Nanami yanked on the hem of my blazer.
There's no escape.
なんだよ。
When Nanami-chan enters the fray,
There is no escape.
なんだよじゃないよ。お兄が逃げるからナナもつい追いかけちゃうんじゃん。
don't run after me if you don't even have anything to talk about. Wow, she really just like...
電話かけてこないし。まあ、ナナはもう諦めたけど、どうせお兄が真面目に連絡入れてくるとは思えないもんね。
Good, you understand. That's the kind of intellect I want to see in my little sister. Not that I need a 3D little sister at all. Damn.
というわけで、これからも定期的にナナがお兄の部屋に様子見に行くから。
Oh boy.
感謝してよね。
Crap. I should have known that was how this was going to end up. Won't somebody rid me of this obnoxious little sister? No, if that was impossible, I at least wanted to get back at her a little. I'd wanted to get back at her for a long time, actually. Wait, I had an idea. I had a plan that I'd been working on for a while. This was my chance to put it into practice. Maybe it would give me a little bit of vengeance. I looked around to make sure no one was watching, and then beckoned Nanami to follow me into the yard. Oh boy.
何？
I'm frightened.
ちょっと来てくれ。
なんで？なんかあるの？
Man, she was annoying. Could you just shut up and follow me?
ナナミに大事な頼みがある。
え？頼み？お兄が？なのに？
Her eyes were wide with shock.
珍しいじゃん。お兄が頼み事なんて。
とにかく黙ってついてこいって。
あ、ちょっと待ってよ。
There weren't that many people in the yard. At lunchtime, it was filled with students eating lunch. Nobody but the gardening club would bother coming here after school, though.
で、頼みって？
What in God's name does he have planned? She put her trash can down and looked at me with a smile.
あ、条件はマクで汚りね。その条件飲んでくれるんなら、本当は嫌だけど、お兄の頼み聞いてあげる。
She was so annoying. I didn't... something. I didn't think she'd want me to pay a price for it. Especially since I already bought her MacDs. Well, whatever.
わかった。おごる。
え、本当？今日の鬼、いつもと違うね。
I was actually lying though. Sorry for being a liar. Lol. I handed Nanami my cell phone. Then I asked her to call the number 0. Oh, that's right. I forgot about this plot point. I asked her to call the number, the one that had prank called me.
着歴の番号にかける？相手は誰？
ネットの知り合い。
She looked at me suspiciously, so I came up with the most plausible sounding lie I could.
どうして7がかけるの？
かければわかる。
なんか企んでない？
Jeez, would you shut up? Just shut up and do what I tell you. And if you can't do that, then leave. I don't need you for anything. I mean,
じゃあもう
you do. You
お前には
literally
頼まない。
do. I tried to take the phone back, but Nanami pulled her hand away from me.
あ、わかったってかけるよ。かければいいんでしょ？ほんとわがままなお兄だな。
You don't get to talk. I held back my anger and gulped as I waited for her to call the number. Nanami innocently put the phone up to her ear and waited for someone to answer. I could see the yellow bangle on her wrist as she held up the phone. That was the one I gave her, or more precisely, that she'd taken from my room. She was wearing it to school? Did she like it that much? That cheap bangle I got for free? Nanami really did have terrible fashion sense. Maybe I was the one to talk, though. No, that wasn't important right now. Who was going to answer the phone? Some scary Dokyun guy? I hoped it was just a prank, and it had nothing to do with Shogun or Yua.
あ、もしもし。
Someone seemed to have picked up. Nanami had spoken into the receiver. She soon furrowed her brow, then offered the phone back to me.
鬼。
Oh god. What the hell was it?
なんだ。
なんだじゃないよ。現在使われてませんって言ってるよ。
え？
I took the phone and put it up to my ear, and what I heard was...
おかけになった電話番号は現在使われておりません。番号をご確認の上、もう一度おかけ直しください。
It was true. Maybe it really was just a prank then. Maybe whoever was behind it would call a bunch of random numbers and prank them, before ditching the phone and number they were using. That was a lot of work for a prank. Well, it wasn't my problem. Now that I knew the mysterious call was just a prank, I felt much safer.
ねえ、一体何なの？
もうお前用なし。
I left Nanami behind and started to walk, but Nanami followed after me. After all, there is no escape.
どういうことか説明してよ。
Shut up.
お前掃除中だろ。ゴミ箱置きっぱなしだぞ。
でも説明聞いてないもん。
僕は帰る。
Nanami grabbed me, but I ignored her and started to quickly walk toward the school gate.
鬼、じゃあマクで横で約束だからね。
There is
ちゃんと
no
覚えとい
escape.
てよ。
知るか。
ちょっと嘘ついたの？
まあな。
Nanami came to a stop, pouting. But I kept walking.
鬼のバカ！
She screamed loud enough for everyone to hear. I looked back, annoyed, and she was glaring at me, shoulders heaving with rage.
鬼なんて携帯の電磁波の影響で脳みそスカスカにされて死んじゃえ！
She's getting real creative with those. Crap. Thanks to Nanami's yelling, I was starting to attract attention. I had to go unnoticed at school. What an obnoxious little sister. I headed for the gate at a jog, ignoring her. The best move at a time like this was to run. I just noticed she's got the little, like, fucking Danganronpa, like, head doodle. You hear her screaming even outside the gate. There was an artist I liked called Higashi Matasema. Matasema? Higashi Matasema was super famous, and his circle had huge lines at every event they attended. His new Blood Tune Dojin, which had come out in the summer, had sold out in an instant. I wanted to go, but those events were always way too crowded for me. I'd reluctantly given up. I thought that I could just buy it from Mangadarake, but I'd been naive. They'd sold some copies there, but they were gone in minutes. The things were going for tens of thousands of yen above retail value online, too. Freaking net resellers. I hope they'd all just die. I'm with them on that one. I don't know about the dying thing, but... Scalpers! Hate them! I thought I'd have to give up entirely. But on Atchan yesterday, I happened to see a post saying that Mangadarake had gotten a new shipment in. I don't know why that one is so hard to say. Mangadarake. Mangadarake. That's why I'd come here right after school.
神様、奇跡を起こしたまえ。
I said a silent prayer in front of the shop and headed inside. I searched the doujinshi corner as thoroughly as I could. I went back and forth again and again, searching and searching. But... I couldn't find it. Sob. Was it sold out already? I glanced quickly at the register. The cashier was a girl. She wasn't very cute, but she looked friendly. Asking a cashier if they had something in stock was an extremely high-level technique, and one I'd never used in my life. It really is. It's something that you think is so basic, right? Just a basic human interaction. For people like us, right? Me and my boy Tak, right? It is a high-level maneuver. It really is. The reason was simple. I didn't have the courage. Especially since Higashi Matasema's new dojin was called Seiratan's Extreme Cos. Not a chance. Excuse me, do you have any copies of Seiratan's Extreme Cos? If I asked a female cashier that, I'd look like a pervert. Yeah, not happening. In the end, I gave up and left. Pardon me. But would your wares happen to include... I already forgot what it was called. Or maybe I should head to At Cafe. As I walked along, uncertain of what to do, I caught a glimpse of a certain sword I recognized in the corner of my eye. Its distinctive shape, like it was split in two at the edges. I love that sword type, by the way, where it's like two, just like almost like a fork, but like two blades. I love that. It was the same type that Girl B, that is Senna. All right, I think I said Girl 1. No, it's Girl B. Senna had been holding. I could see its tip peeking above the crowds of people walking down Center Street. It was coming toward me, so I quickly ran into a nearby arcade. I hid in the shadows and watched as Senna walked by. She was heading to the station at a fast pace, the same scary look on her face that she always had. It didn't seem like she'd noticed me. That said, after experiencing for myself how embarrassing it was to carry a D-sword down the street, it was hard not to be impressed by her. Wasn't she embarrassed at all while carrying that? Yeah, I think hers is the real deal, my dude. The cops had to have stopped her at least once, right? I was sure of it. Senna was getting further and further away from me. Where could you get a cool D-sword like the one she has? The one I'd bought didn't glow and didn't look that cool. Honestly, I was pretty dissatisfied with it. Compared to mine, Senna's was incredibly cool. Absolutely. I bought the D-sword as a good luck charm, mostly. I'd been scared to death and was ready to cling to anything that might offer salvation. After what had happened with Rimi, I felt a little better, but the situation hadn't really changed. Shogun, Yua, I still had a lot of enemies out there. That's why I wanted a stronger looking D-sword. Of course, part of it was just that I was an otaku, and we like to collect things. Don't mind my shelf back there. That's not important. As if drawn by Senna's D-sword, I found myself heading out into Scramble Crossing. It's happening. It's happening. I bit my lip. Crap, I hadn't wanted to come near the station. I didn't even want to go to Center Street or to school. I'd only done it reluctantly, because I had to. Being surrounded by people I didn't know made me feel like I had nowhere to run. It felt hard to breathe. As usual, the place was packed. I started to feel sicker and sicker. For a while, I just stared at the ground, trying not to throw up. When I looked up again, the D-sword was gone. I thought I'd seen her walking over to the Hachiko statue. I hope she's, like, right behind him. He's like, looks up, it's gone, just, hello. Crosswalk lights on Scramble Crossing had just turned green. Many people began to walk in many different directions. The area inside the crossing was pure chaos. It shocked me that so many people could each be going their own directions without slamming into each other. Looking at it, I realized how impossible my delusion of an empty Scramble Crossing the other day was. There probably wasn't a single second in the year when this place was empty. Why was I chasing after Senna anyway? I couldn't even ask at a cashier at Manga Dorake if they had a dojin in stock. How was I supposed to be able to talk to that scary Senna girl? She might even be an enemy. I walked right up to her without any defenses up. There's no telling what she would do to me. I was being crazy. I should just go home. But just when I turned to go, I noticed a white chain lying on the ground. So many objects! So many just random objects appearing. And while I couldn't be sure, because the other pedestrians were blocking my view, it looked like it led all the way to the other side of Scramble Crossing. What was that about? It was an awfully long chain. Was it for some kind of construction thing? But it didn't look like anybody was doing any kind of construction. It was hard to believe somebody would just leave this chain here. Maybe it was for a TV or movie shoot? No, they wouldn't do a shoot with all these people around. Had somebody just left it here then? A huge chain like this? It would be a hassle to bring it here. Either way, it was in the way of the pedestrians and cars. Confused, I looked at the people around me to see how they reacted. Something tells me they didn't. It looked like you could easily trip over the thing, but nobody was paying it any attention. I rubbed my eyes and stared at it again, wondering if I'd just hallucinated it, but the chain was still there. It was creepy, so I didn't have the courage to touch it, though. It wasn't a cheap plastic thing. It was made out of tough-looking metal. How long had it been here? Where does it lead? Normally, I would think it was a trap. I'd assume something terrible was waiting for me at the other end of it and run away in fear. Please, I really hope he follows it, because now I also want to know what is at the end of this chain. But for some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about where it might lead. A kind of oppressive force was taking over my mind and telling me I needed to follow it. It's me! I'm telling him he needs to follow it. Do it! Follow it! I am the oppressive force. I stumbled into several people as I went, but I managed to make it to the other side of the crossing before the light turned red. The chain led to an old train car, painted dark green, that was sitting next to the Hachiko statue. The train car's wheels had been removed, so it was more like a monument than something you could actually use. This car was open to anybody who wanted to go inside, if I remembered right. The chain led through the car's open door and inside. There were a lot of people waiting around Hachiko, but nobody was paying it any attention. They didn't even seem to notice it was there. It didn't seem like there was anybody inside the train car either. I gulped and looked inside. Are you serious? Are you serious? Oh my god. It was only then that I realized it was a trap. It actually was a trap! Dude. Also, she's got a popsicle. I knew it. She's popsicle girl. I didn't understand why it had taken me this long to notice. The train car had seemed empty, but there was actually a single person inside. Senna Aoi was sitting on one of the red seats, her legs crossed. Her sharp gaze was locked firmly onto me. For some reason, she had a popsicle in her hand. That shade of blue. It was Garugari-kun, wasn't it? What? No, Garugari-kun wasn't important right now. The strange thing was, I didn't see her huge D-sword anywhere. It was so big. Where could she have hidden it? Can she like change it into a chain? That's sick. Do you imagine you got this big ass sword just whoosh, becomes a chain? Instead of the sword, the white chain was coiled up at her feet. All right, it's well, we went red last time. I'm going green. I realized that when we'd last met, she had said something about being at the train car. This must have been what she meant. Did she say that? That seems oddly specific. I don't remember that, but it was a while ago, I guess. Huh. So, she'd been the one to put the chain out there. Had she actually walked around carrying that huge thing? It had to weigh at least 10 kilograms, and it was probably over 50 meters long. There was something about this girl that was just beyond my understanding. She wasn't normal. Could she be Shogun? Probably not. I got scared and tried to run. But then her sharp gaze came flying at me.
Hide.
Alright, green time. It didn't change. I stopped. I tried to think as hard as I could. If I ran, what would she do? Would she come after me, swinging her D-sword? I tried to imagine the scene, and it seemed so completely plausible that I quickly stopped. What if I went inside? She liked me. Maybe she wouldn't hurt me. Maybe I could even convince her to sell me a D-sword. It's quite... alright. Wouldn't be easy to get her to agree, but she might at least be willing to tell me where they were sold. She seemed like she was waiting for me, too. That meant she at least had some interest in me. She looked scary, but what if she was actually a good person? That happened a lot with tsundere characters, right? Maybe I was being too optimistic. I mean, I did click the green version. I think that's like the optimistic one. But the one thing I was sure of was that she wouldn't just kill me the second I walked inside. I could be totally confident of that. This was the middle of Shibuya. We were right in front of Hachiko. There were hundreds of people around us. Killing me in front of all these people would be suicide for Senna. I took a deep breath and stepped inside the train car. I don't know, you're underestimating the minds of some people who kill people. Like, for some people it's like, it's worth it. But no, I don't think it. She's gonna cut. She just does a popsicle. She just has a popsicle. Suddenly I realized something. The coiled chain that had been at Senna's feet just a moment ago is now completely gone. She must have moved it somewhere, but I hadn't heard any sound, and she had been sitting in her seat the whole time. And even if she had moved it, where'd she moved it to? I couldn't see the chain anywhere in the car. What? Senna asked me another strange question, completely ignoring my confusion. What? I shook my head quickly in confusion, and her expression only grew sterner. Finally, she looked away from me, sighing a little and nibbling on her popsicle. When she released me from her terrible gaze, I almost collapsed. I wanted to sit on a seat, but she'd probably say something. I gave up on the idea. She's referring to the chain?
だからエラーって何?
鎖だ。白い鎖。
If that was what she meant, then yes, I'd seen it. I followed that strange white chain all the way here. Is this like gonna be like a Matrix thing? Are they in a computer program or something?
でもどこにもない。
I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. Literally just based on the fact that she's using the word error. I don't think that's the case.
私の妄想だからな。
Delusion? What is she talking about?
じゃあケンは
お前も持っているだろう。
Huh? She thought I had one? Of course I didn't. This conversation wasn't making any sense.
それよりお前は何者なんだ。見えているみたいだけど。
は?
What? Senna glanced at me before jerking her head in the direction of the window.
この窓の外に何が見える?
Outside the window? People. I saw lots of people. There were even more than there had been a second ago. Just looking at them made my head hurt. People with their heads down playing with their cell phones. People laughing as they talked on the phone. People just standing and watching other people go by. Most of the people I could see from here from where I was standing seemed to be waiting for someone else. Actually, how come none of these people actually tried to come inside the train?
完璧な世界がそこにあると思うか
The hell
あ
does
る
that
はず
even
が
mean?
ないエラーは確かに存在するすべてのものは人も含めて電気仕掛けだからな
Was this her weird personal fanfiction? I mean, I had similar fantasies all the time. I wasn't gonna tell her not to have them. All the novels, all the movies, all the anime in the world came from goofy fantasies. Hell yes. So why were the fantasies of a novelist or a director okay, while the ones amateurs like me came up with were mocked? And what's more, think about it. All the great people in history had goofy, childish fantasies. The Wright brothers honestly believed they could fly over 100 years ago. Napoleon actually told people the word impossible is not in my dictionary. And that's... yeah. You shouldn't make fun of somebody for having fantasies. All of history's greats had fantasies. The problem was, this girl had suddenly started sharing hers with me.
何を見ているかじゃない
In the most literal sense, she seems to be like projecting shit into his head.
人は体の外からの情報を五感によって得ているけどその受け取る情報のおよそ 80% は視覚から入ってくるんだそして視覚から得られた映像はパルス信号となって視神経を通り脳に送られる
Okay. It was kind of like a phone, I thought. A phone took somebody's voice and turned it into an electrical signal, and then sent that information to someone else far away.
電話か似ていると言えなく
Oh, she's literally reading his mind. Okay, cool. She read my mind! No, that was impossible. Had I spoken aloud without realizing it again?
VR 技術を知っているか
Virtual reality? Of course, this time I was careful not to say it aloud.
ビジュアルリビルディング
Oh. I was wrong. I'd never heard of that.
アメリカの精神生理学分野で研究が行われている技術だ生まれながらに目が不自由な人でも目の前にある景色がちゃんと見えるようになるビデオカメラのような映像機器を介してな
Hold on, did that say psychophysio? I thought that said psychopsychologist, so I was like, that's redundant. No, psychophysiologists.
どうやってという顔をしているなだが仕組みとしては単純な話だビデオカメラが映した映像も脳を流れる神経パルスもどちらも突き詰めれば電気による信号なんだぞ要は神経パルスにコンバートできる技術さえあればいいすでに実際にテストは成功しているある研究チームが特許を取得済みだ
Pat, was that true? Oh, is the research team Nozomi? I don't know. But I feel like that's starting to all tie together, possibly. I don't know. Oh god, so many questions. Oh god, I pressed the button again. Oh, I'm so dumb. I hate this. Okay, I need to calm down. Take a moment. It felt like a really well thought out delusion, but what kind of delusion includes stuff about patents?
その特許から読み取れることがある
Senna turned her gaze away from the window and toward me. She crossed her legs again, slowly.
ある意図的な情報を神経パルスへコンバートすることが可能なら人の五感すべてさらには人の意志そのものもコントロールできるんじゃないか
The train was right in front of Shibuya Station, but it was strangely quiet. It felt like the sound was being shut out. Of course, it was just my imagination, but I remembered the empty Shibuya I'd seen days ago, and couldn't take my eyes off the crowd outside.
さっき言ったように人は電気仕掛けだ脳だけじゃなく全身に張り巡らされている神経にも電気が通っているつまり 肉体的な動きまでも操れるということになるんだ。理論的にはな。
This girl, I was in shock. She was more delusional than even you or me. What she said sounded logical on the surface, kind of, but it was clearly just a fantasy.
事実、特許を取得した研究チームもその方向へと研究内容をシフトしている。あまりに危険すぎる内容だったから、アメリカ大統領が歯止めをかけようとして行政命令を出したくらいだ。
How much of what she was saying was actually true?
いかなる機関であろうと、政府との事前合意なしに人体の機密の研究を行うことを禁じる。それを支援することも同様である。とな。
Senna looked down. She tightly clenched her fists as they rested in her lap.
だが世の中は腐った連中ばかりだ。
I mean, yeah, I agree with that.
自分の利益のためだけに他者を平気で犠牲にするような連中がな。ヘドが出る。
She put the last of the melting Garugari-kun popsicle into her mouth, then stood up. I stepped back, only to find my back against the wall.
無知は罪だ。知らない方が幸せなこともある。
Please tell me that popsicle stick is going to transform into her sword. That's all I want right now, at this point.
世界を疑え。仕組みを知れ。この世界は完璧じゃない。
I feel like she's basically just saying, like, be skeptical and educate yourself. Like, aside from all this other shit, like this, yeah, I'm completely down with that. It's like, hey, you know, it's fine to be ignorant, but if you realize that, maybe you learn. Maybe educate yourself and stop. She was walking toward me. I thought she might punch me and tried to shield myself with my arms, but Senna just walked straight past me.
お前の見ている景色は本物か?
She whispered as she passed me, without so much as a glance my way, and then she left the train. Really? She's gonna walk off after that? I watched Senna walk through the train car's window, standing there in shock. She disappeared into the crowd without turning around once. In the end, I never did figure out what she was trying to say. The one thing I could tell was that she really hated the world. A completely typical teenager, I guess. From my perspective, having to listen to all that crazy stuff was just a nuisance. The way she spoke made it sound like she was a teacher giving a lecture. In 2D, the way she talked might be kind of moe, but in the real world, it just made her seem like a dokyun. But I was glad she didn't attack me. For some reason, she had this air about her like she might slap someone at any time, for any reason. I felt like I needed to rest for a moment, so I sat down on the seat where Senna had been sitting a moment ago. A second later, a dokyun-looking couple came inside. Then soon after them, 3 dokyun-looking girls came in, then an old man and a young salaryman in a suit. Before long at all, the car was jammed tight with people. Nobody had tried to come in when Senna was here, so why had it suddenly changed? The voices of the girls and dokyun couple were annoying me. I whispered die several times. Sorry, that one got me. I whispered die several times to myself silently before leaving. Die. Just, I don't know why that got me so good. Oh, that's funny. Alright. So yeah, this weird chick was hassling me. You have angered me! Oh no, we've angered Grim. Listen, Nightheart. Keep saying you're not into 3D chicks, but you seem to be having a whole lot of fun with them. You said one broke inside your house the other day. That's totally out of an HK. Yeah, yes. Home invasion. So hot, right? Got some luck lately, asshole. Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Yes, I'll admit I've had more chances to talk to cute girls. You're not helping your case. You're not helping your case, buddy. But they're all crazy. Let's see how you'd react if they tried their weird fantasy shit on you. It's seriously scary, man. Sorry. It's all good. That face. Even after I made it home, I couldn't get Senna's words out of my mind. Of course, I didn't think it was real, but that part about the patents and the executive order I could find if I decided to look it up. Yeah, maybe look it up. I went to Grimm for help, and we started searching the internet. Grimm knew somebody who lived in the US, so we got their help too. Not that I expected to find anything. These days, nobody would believe anything without a source. Yeah, good. Shiho was Grimm's net buddy. They lived in the US and spoke fluent English, supposedly. I got word from Shiho. Clackety clackety clack. It was BS, right? That crazy bitch. Damn. She probably thought she could fool me because I didn't speak English. Don't underestimate the internet. Glad that's settled. They found it, they said. They found what? They're translating it for us. I'll look it up for you. This another troll? Ha, you don't trust me, huh? Well, I guess I can understand why, given all the shit I pull. Want me to bring Shiho here, then? Grimm had lied to me about all kinds of stuff. Usually when he did something like this, he'd make me look at some disgusting mental browser crash link. But he even had a source and But he even had a source and was saying he'd invite Shiho. If this is a troll, I'm banning you from the guild. Okay, this time you can trust me. He seemed really confident. Maybe this time I could trust him. My heart pounded as I clicked the link, narrowing my eyes so that I wouldn't be able to see it clearly at first. I see the words prefrontal lobotomy, and that's disturbing. That's upsetting to see. That's not a word that's ever really in a positive sense, right? It was a paper written in English with a strange diagram at the bottom. There was something in the diagram that looked like a human face. Yeah. It said United States patent. So it was all true. In other words, this was...
VR 技術を知っているか？すでに実際にテストは成功している。ある研究チームが特許を取得済みだ。
It was real. I opened one of the 2 text files that were attached with it. It was a Japanese translation of an article talking about the patent. The Victor Condrea University Psychophysiology Lab is currently working on a revolutionary technology called visual rebuilding. The technology is intended for the field of therapeutics and is being eagerly followed by blind people all over the world. This revolutionary invention would allow the blind to see with the aid of a visual device such as a camera. To explain in basic terms how it works, the electronic signals generated by the video camera are transformed into nerve impulses, the one form of electrical signal that the brain can read. These signals are transmitted to the optic nerves and through them to the brain. Tests have been successful and a patent was issued. Huh. What Senna had been saying wasn't just some silly fantasy then. I gulped and clicked on the other file. Official order issued by the White House, 3/27/1997, strengthening protections of research into the secrets of the human body. No organization may do any research into the secrets of the human body without informed consent or support from any other organization that conducts such research. This order will go into effect on March 27th, 1998, or earlier if appropriate legislation passes. William J. Clinton, President of the United States. Wow. An executive order from the President of the United States. It was like something you'd see in the backstory for a movie, but it was real. I clicked on the link too, just to be sure. I could read English, even if I couldn't speak it. I was a lot smarter than the Dukuns that went to school every day, after all. The actual text was more or less the same as the translation I'd been given. Senna's words echoed in my mind.
ある意図的な情報を神経パルスへコンバートすることが可能なら、人の五感すべて、さらには人の意志そのものもコントロールできるんじゃないか。
This whole thing was getting kind of complicated, but knowing what Senna said, and there was a source online to back it up, made my skin crawl. It felt like there was some kind of terrible secret involved in all this. What worried me more than anything was the fact that Senna had chosen to tell me all this. Did it have something to do with me? The idea of controlling another person's will seemed to, at the very least. I still hadn't ruled out the possibility that I was sleepwalking. Supposedly, the day the third new gen incident, Crucified, happened, I'd been using the account Shogun to chat at Cafe. And I didn't remember Rimi at all either. I'd supposedly spent over a year with her as a classmate and even gone to hang out a few times, but I didn't remember her at all. Maybe I'd done all that while someone was controlling me. After all, there was no way a guy like me, who could barely talk to 3D girls, could be friends with a cute girl like Rimi. No, I was overthinking it. The thing with the chat, at least, was just a delusion of Yua's. Shogun was someone else, and just trying to set me up. I wasn't sure if he was actually the old man in the wheelchair I'd seen in front of the 107 building, but it didn't matter. It was even possible that Senna was working with Shogun too. Maybe she was trying to trick me. I couldn't believe what she was saying. I didn't know anything about her, and I couldn't trust her. Senna was no different than Yua. That's what I should be thinking, right, Seiratan? We're here. Well, like I said, I'm excited to see more Yua now that we know more, that she's not what she appeared. But yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes. But I'm tired, and I'm hungry, and I'm gonna go get some food. I'm gonna try to stream more tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna, though. I'm very bad at this. Bye.